Welcome to the CajonDude.com's video lesson on how to play more rock beats on the cajon. This is a continuation of my video, How to Play a Rock Beat on the Cajon. Again, like I did in the aforementioned video, I am using Murray Houllif's book, Today's Sound for Drumset, Volume 1. And today we're going to do Lesson 2. We are moving away from the basic beats found in the first video and getting into some more complex bass drum placements. Again, I highly recommend purchasing this book. I use it with all of my Drumset students. I will again be referring to Drumset notation, so here's a quick recap on how to read it. The bass drum is notated on the bottom space, and I play it with my right heel. The snare drum is notated on the third space, and I play that with my left hand. And finally, the hi-hat is notated as an X on top of the staff, and I play that with my right hand. With this lesson, all of the exercises have the same hi-hat and snare drum part. Only the bass drum changes, just like line 7 from video number 1. So make sure you can play it. Okay, line 1. We have that same hi-hat and snare drum part with a new bass drum pattern, like this. With line 2, we have the same hi-hat and snare drum pattern, again, just a new bass drum pattern. With line 3, again we have the same pattern and a new bass drum pattern. Line 4 doesn't start with a bass drum like usual, so be careful. Try counting yourself in. Line 5 uses that same hi-hat and snare drum pattern. Now the bass drum pattern is stretched over 2 bars. Line 6 is the same pattern with a different 2-bar bass drum pattern. Line 7, just like line 4, this doesn't start with a bass drum. Try counting yourself in. With line 8, you have to watch out for the beginning of bar 2. Notice there's no bass drum on beat 1. Line 9, again we have the same pattern, just the bass drum part is now getting a little bit more complicated. Line 10 has a little bit more complicated bass drum pattern. No bass drum on beat 1. Count yourself in. Line 11. Again, we're getting a little more complicated. Watch out for measure 2. It doesn't have a bass drum on the downbeat. Line 12 is very similar to line 11. And finally, line 13. Lots of offbeat bass drum here. And that's it for lesson 2. I highly recommend you go buy some Murray Houllif books because they are fantastic. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more video lessons at thecajondude.com.